morning.
Good morning.
Since we are doing quite a bit of talking on Monday mornings, I have a quote for you that brings us in this direction. And the quote says, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." It's a quote by Zeno, by the Stoic. How would you bring this into nowadays scenarios?
I think that the first thing that comes to my mind is a quote, or let's say a word of wisdom from somewhere in the world. I don't even know where. So it might be that is the popular wisdom that says you have 2 ears to listen, you have 2 eyes to see, but you have 1 tongue to talk. Which means that you take in much more information than you give out through the talking. So that's the first observation or the first comment that comes to my mind, which is probably because it is easy to make mistakes with the tongue. So that is the trip with the tongue. Therefore, take twice as much information from your listening and your seeing before you give out information as let's say talking. So that's the first reaction I have. The second reaction is that I think this is Japanese word of wisdom, and they say the one who listens learn, the ones who talks gives away, hopefully wisdom, hopefully knowledge, and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, if you want to learn, that is better to listen, take in, than to talk when you give out. So, and I would say that, and then the first, let's say, comment that I made and the second comment I made are, let's call them on the positive side of it, right? So you do not necessarily did wrong things, but you prevented from doing wrong things by listening more, by seeing more, by, let's say, thinking before you're speaking, right? Now, the Zeno quote is that you might do harm, you might trip with your tongue. So therefore, his opinion or his point of view or perspective is that it's better to trip with the feet, which is, okay, you trip, you fail, or you fall, or you will, okay? But it's not necessarily that serious as if you trip with the tongue, and then obviously you cannot take back the saying, right? And then probably if I would say, if I will talk to children, I would say listen twice and speak once, or I would say if you listen, you learn, whilst if you talk, you don't necessarily learn, you just share. Hopefully you have what to share. So this is if I would talk with children. Now, if I go back to, let's say, my habitual situation, which is coaching professionals, I would certainly say that the interventions should be done when they really consider that they bring something in the discussion. And here comes to my mind a principle that I learned from my Finnish clients. And apparently that's part of the culture. And this is the way that the children are educated, that you only speak when you bring, let's call it, you bring a plus, you add in the discussion, right? So there's no other reason to intervene than to bring value, than to add value to the discussion. So if now, coming back to Zeno, I would say, first of all, do contribute to the discussion if you have something good to say, something good, right? Useful. And be sure that, or let's say as much as you can, ensure that you do not trip. That means you do not do harm. Because probably it is much more difficult then to come back into that saying or to come back into that assertion. And because of that, yes, I would say that is, how would I then close this discussion, or to say that the first intervention is an intervention that is useful. And the second intervention is that it certainly does not do harm, which is don't trip with your tongue.